What's going on, guys? So today we are going to be setting these two gear ratios from scratch. So if you're working on your Vanos and you replace this gear or this chain, this is how you're going to reset the position of which they're in. These two gear ratios do matter. The relationship to each other does matter. And if you get it messed up, your intake cam timing will be off by a couple teeth or one tooth in either direction. So we're gonna basically break it apart, and this is with this guy basically out at this point. So the exhaust bolts on this side need to be out, and this needs to be able to come off. So we're gonna take this guy off, and I'm just gonna ditch the chain. Forget it, forget the chain. So we'll put these guys back on. So basically when you have the Vanos, you'll notice that this guy will slide on each side, right? And it'll stop completely. Same thing with this guy if you have these exhaust bolts in. So I'm going to put one in right now. This is just for the purpose of setting the timing. When you put these guys in, actually you want to put all four of them in. You're going to want to put all four of them in, and you're going to have this plate in front of it. So with this plate on, you can't really see where these guys are going. Basically you want to be able to see where it goes and stops on the bolt, right? So you can hear it clicking on each side. So basically it'll bounce back between the bolt in this little groove here. So when we're setting the timing for the chain, you want to be able to have it where it will bounce on both ends on both gears, if that makes sense. So I'm going to pull this guy off. I'm just going to throw the chain on. I'm just going to throw the chain on at a random point. These are probably going to be totally wrong, but that's okay because we're resetting it. So you'll notice now, as I'm sliding it back and forth, that the exhaust gear is at a different spot, right? So I'm going to screw that bolt back in, and so that's the end of the exhaust gear. So that side of the exhaust little holes here are hitting the bolt, but it's not hitting it on this side. You see that? And so same thing, if we go this way to the left, it stops on here before this little slot will hit the bolt. So we're off by a couple teeth. So I'm going to pull the assembly off. I'm going to rotate it a couple teeth this way. So we're going to go boom all the way around. We'll see if that's better or worse. Okay, so that was the total wrong way. So we're going to go about 2 teeth this way. And maybe another tooth. There we go. And see where we're at. Screw in this bolt again. Yeah, so we're still off by a good bit. So I'm going to pull this guy off again. And we're going to pull him up another couple teeth. Wrap that around. So if you grab the chain, pull it up, stick it on another tooth, and then pull that little gap around the chain, you'll actually rotate the gear in the chain without having to pull off the gear. So it's a little bit better than just pulling it off and then pulling the chain off the gear and then trying to see if you matched it up right again. So let's screw our bolt in again. Still off. Might take 10 or 15 minutes to get it right. It's a little bit of a process. So we're going to move it a couple more teeth. Slap that back on. So we're getting close. You can see that when I rotate it, it's hitting it almost on this side, but when I rotate it to the right, it's still leaving a tiny little gap on that intake side. So we're almost there, we're almost dialed in. So I'm going to pull this guy off. I'm going to rotate it one tooth this way. Slap that back on. Screw in that bolt. Boom, that's it. So you'll notice now that it's lined up, when I rotate it to the right, the intake gear stops at the end of this little hole at the end of its travel. Same thing with the exhaust side. So they're both ending at their travel at the same relationship. So basically you can max out both on each side. As before, like this side would stop, would be at the end of its travel, well this side still had a gap, or vice versa. So the exhaust bolt would end here and it would still leave a little gap on that inside there. So once you have it set up to where it will bounce back like this, it's set. That's it. The timing's done. So the only thing with this setup the way it is right now is that these arrows on the gears are pointing to the sides. They need to be pointing straight up and down. But as far as this goes, the timing is actually correct on it. I'm going to pull this guy off and I'm going to rotate this cam gear a quarter. Alright, so that's it. The cam gear has the arrows sitting where they need to be, and everything is set perfectly. So that's how you set these gear ratios. It's kind of tedious and it's kind of a little bit, you sort of have to mess with it a bit and rotate it, pull it off, put it back on, pull it off, put it back on. But at the end of the day, it'll be set properly. You won't be off by a tooth, which is good. So be sure to check out my Vanos install video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Keep it fresh, and I will see you guys later.
You should take it slow.
And you need to reset it. This is how basically you're gonna do it. That was almost ugly.